Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 40, the Big 4-0 of the All Dolphins podcast on YouTube, where we finally get to talk about a game. Yes, it is a preseason game, but it's different than talking about practice.
Hold on. Do you even think the game will be as entertaining as that inside the bubble joint practice we had?
Yeah, no, I probably not. That was really cool.
That was awesome. That was really exciting. I probably my favorite practice maybe of all time.
Wow, of all time, man.
Okay, Chad Henne's first practice was just like mind-blowing.
In a good way or in a bad way?
Oh, no, not Chad Henne. I'm Chad Pennington.
Oh,
sorry.
Chad Pennington. Yeah.
I mean, that will always, and I do remember Jay Cutler's first practices, and there was one Jay Cutler, the Devontae Parker sonning Byron Maxwell practice. You remember that inside the bubble with Adam Gase walking the sidelines, and we're all like, holy crap! Like, who's this guy? Who's this Devontae Parker? He's talking junk.
I'll give you another one. Another one that stood out. Dan Campbell's first practice as interim head coach. Am I wrong?
That was just total meathead football, though.
But it was fun.
Drill.
It was fun. I mean, there's a new sheriff in town, and his name's Dan Campbell.
Man, and he's still pulling that stuff in Detroit too. God bless him.
No, and I'm with you with the Chad Pennington one, and I saw him at practice, and my eyes went like boom, like this. And I am not. I swear on my children. After that practice, I walked outside and I told my former Dolphin Digest colleague, Bill Daly, Dolphins are making the playoffs. And this was the year after they won in 15. They had added a lot of veterans in the offseason, except they had nothing at quarterback. They had Chad Henne, John Beck, Josh McCown, and then saw Pennington at first practice.
Oh, yeah. You said John Beck. Yeah, you already said John Beck.
Yeah. And then that first practice with Chad Pennington, it was different.
Oh, absolutely. No question about it. That would probably be my number one. It was, I mean, the bubble practice, it was just exciting. It was entertaining. It was, coaches were disagreeing with calls with the refs and calling for sack. It's a practice, but it was fun.
And it had nothing to do with the fact that all of us media folk got to be outside where it's nice and cool as opposed to the melting in the sweltering heat outside.
I like the inside practices because we could hear stuff.
Oh, correct. No, I agree. And I'm playing. And also I loved the periods where it was just one unit each team. It wasn't like Dolphin offense on one side, Dolphin defense on the other side. It was strictly Dolphin offense versus Atlanta defense, or vice versa, not both at the same time. That was completely cool. Now we get to game time. And I don't know about you, but I'm going to be guilty of the same thing. Every time the preseason arrives, I'm like jacked for the beginning of it. And it doesn't take very long to be like, okay, how many more quarters of this do we have?
when they get to the period of two, first let's address this. Should Tua play or should he not?
Okay. Oh, you want me to start?
Yeah. Should he play or should he not?
Here's the thing. He's had 2 years coming into a season as a starter. One time he played the preseason opener, 2021. One time he didn't last year. I would feel better about him sitting the entire preseason if it wasn't for the fact that the offense is not humming right now. If the offense had been humming the way it hummed in the joint practice against Tampa Bay, I'd say sit him. No need to say anything. I'd like to see the offense get in tune a little bit before the start of the regular season. It does need to happen right now. Probably don't need to play him down. I do think he needs to play at least one game in the preseason.
Here's my question for you, and I'm going to answer that question probably based off your answer. You know how they like to have 1 week of this is our traditional prep for a game, and I think it's going to be next week. But what if it's not next week because they're in foreign territory on the road for a joint practice with Houston? They don't have the regular routines, regular schedules. Like, can they are they going to game plan for Houston? We know it's not going to be the third game.
Well, there was a third game. Tua played in the third game last year. That was his one game when they played against Philly and they smoked them 48-10.
Okay, so he didn't play in the first one. He played
Or
in the
the
second
second
one
one.
and the third.
He did not play in the second one either last year.
Really?
Was
I couldn't-
Vegas, unless I'm severely mistaken. I don't recall he played in either one of the first two. He played in the third one. If you remember, that was the week they were supposed to have 2 joint practices against the Eagles. One of them got canceled. Did that play a role in McDaniel wanted to see a lot of his first team guys play in that particular preseason?
I think he has to play in one. So now that you're saying that, because I couldn't remember, these whole things, these preseason games, they just group in together and I don't remember them all. So now that you say that, if he played in the second and he played in the third, then we're probably going to see the same routine then.
Yeah, like I said, though, I honestly, I do not remember the third. I do remember the first one very well. It was against Tampa Bay. He did not play at all. I want to say I don't believe he played against Vegas at Hard Rock Stadium. Okay, then we only played the third one against Philly.
Okay, then we know kind of what the blueprint is. So we probably will not see him tonight.
No, and again, we don't necessarily need to see him tonight, and especially since we're going to assume Jalen Waddle's not going to play either. So if you're going to have 2 in the lineup, it'd be nice to have the guys he's going to be playing with during the regular season.
So this is pretty much an audition for the guys 40 to 53 in practice squad.
And here's one point I would make, which I think is an important point. The number of roster spots and roles to be determined between now and the start of the regular season, to my eyes at least, appears to be much, much larger than at this time last year. I seem to recall last year there were very, very few spots that weren't pretty clear and pretty obvious. And this year there are a ton of spots where it could go a lot of different ways.
Okay. We're talking receiver 5-6. We're talking running back 4. We're talking all tight ends, except for Durham Smite.
O-line.
O-line, we got swing tackle. We got backup center lock. Swing tackle, interior spots. D-line, we're talking the backups. Linebacker.
Inside linebacker.
Are we talking outside linebacker? Who are we
No,
talking
I
about?
said 4th inside linebacker.
4th inside. Oh, yeah. That's
Well, that's when Brandon Tyndall comes in. And even though it's 4th guy, the fact that you're talking about a 2022 3rd-round pick whose roster spot, at least from where we sit, certainly does not seem locked in, that's fairly significant.
You gotta find some special teams use for him. I'm watching. If he's not part of every core special teams, he's a dead man walking. He's got to start being an impactful player on special teams, because I don't see it. We're talking a lot of safeties and cornerbacks.
Yeah. So that's a lot of spots. And I'm not sure I'm with you on swing tackle, to be honest with you. I know you haven't liked Kendall Lamb at right tackle. I don't think
the battle's over, but there's a clear leader.
Oh, correct. No, correct. I think, let's say right now, I'd give him an 80% chance of winning that job.
Yeah, I mean, I'm at the point I might be interested in seeing him at guard and left guard. Hey.
Never played guard in the NFL unless I'm mistaken, so I don't think they can go there.
And neither did Jermon Bushrod till he became a part of the Unicorns as a guard.
Here's one I'm going to throw out there. Actually, this was suggested by somebody on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. That actually got me.
I'm never going to call it X.
The X is strictly Xavier Howard, and that's it. What would you think about the idea of perhaps experimenting with Connor Williams at left guard and Liam Eichenberg at center? Although I preface that question, now that I've asked it, by probably saying that if this was going to be done, it probably needed to be done earlier in camp.
I think Connor it would be crazy. It'd be left field-ish. Didn't say it might not work. It's not a bad idea. It's not my first choice. Probably would be 3. At this point, I think the focus needs to be restoring Liam's confidence.
Could be a good starting point.
Yeah. And Connor Williams, I don't think he wants to play guard anymore. I think he wants to be a center. If it's one conversation he had with us, he was like, center's my position, center's my natural position. That's what I want to be. And I get it. You've invested a lot of time in it. He doesn't get any false starts at center. You don't have to worry about that.
That's a good point. That's a good
It's not out of the question. It's just not what I would do. I'm at the point where I think you start Liam Eichenberg in this game. You play him for an extensive period, depending on how he performs, determines whether or not he keeps that job heading into Houston's joint practice.
Yeah.
And then I also give Isaiah Wynn. Maybe I rotate them one series one series the next, and see what I see.
Well, yeah, but for continuity's sake, I think maybe you give one guy one quarter, the other guy the next quarter, as opposed to rotating them by series. Mind you, I'm not expecting it to happen.
Hold on, you're playing the starting line into the second quarter?
No, usually it's the first quarter, but again, I'm not playing Robert Hunt, Connor Williams, or the right side of the line. I think Liam Eichenberg certainly, his playing training camp so far would justify him playing more than strictly the first quarter.
Okay. So you're saying you're playing Robert Hunt and Austin Jackson in the first quarter and then pulling them?
If they play at all.
If they play it. Okay. I don't know if they have the depth to play a whole game without some contribution from the starters.
I'll have to go back and look, but I think last year in that first preseason game, it was practically, no, you know what? I think those guys played. So, I mean, either way, but let me go back to the point real quickly. I'm not predicting it's going to happen. I just think that this idea of the Liam Connor Williams swap is not completely crazy, even though on the surface it might be.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not. I think I would like Liam Eichenberg more at center than I like Dan Feeney at center. That's just.
Oh, no, you're not a big Dan Finney fan.
Yeah.
Quarterback. I am, where I stand on this. That I think it's Mike White's job to lose pretty much. And he has shown, and again, I don't know if it's a pure coincidence. His reputation from the guys who've covered him in Dallas, and the Jets told you he's a game player, not a practice player. And lo and behold, the second the fans started showing up in the stands, boom, all of a sudden his play picked up. And he's been good.
Mm-hmm. I would say right now, it pains me to say it, but I think he is in the driver's seat for that number 2 spot based on the fact that he took most of the practice snaps. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that he doesn't know the offense where Skylar does know the offense. And let's say he plays the first half and Skylar plays the second half. You can just run plays Skylar knows. And have him out there doing what he does. I don't know if he needs that much practice for that, where Mike White probably needs to go over plays and communication and chemistry. Skylar's admitted I already have those things, and it's not fair to Mike White, but I mean, he's at an advantage. Now Mike has favoritism because of money. It's and I don't think it's over. I don't think it's the competition that I expected. I expected to be an even competition. It's not, but it is what it is. I'm more curious about the backs. Where I stand with Salvon Ahmed. I like him. Do I think he's maxed out here? Yes, I do. He needs to show me there's more there, because right now, there's a duplication here. A-Chain, Ahmed, same back. I don't need 2 of them. And
despite what some of the folks commenting on YouTube are, I understand Devon A-Chain was electric at Texas A&M. I totally get it. Fabulous and all that. At practice, in training camp, in the NFL, they look like the same guy. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yes. There's no media member who will not tell you they don't look like the same guy.
Right.
There isn't a single one. You go, if you don't believe us, go search out any media member who has watched practice, and they'll tell you they look like the same guy. And one might be a hair faster than the other. And I do believe A-Chain might be a little bit more physical than Savon.
Yeah, I agree. Which actually is a pleasant surprise. But
it's been a pleasant surprise to see how physical he is. If you're Mike McDaniel, you play A-Chain third, fourth quarter, you feature him, you see what's capable. It gives the fans something to be excited about. You're really not going to play him in the season. And on top of that, let me throw this little caveat in there. You know I want Dalvin Cook.
No, no, really?
You know I'm an advocate for Dalvin Cook.
I was not aware of that. I'm sorry, go ahead.
If the Dolphins do add Dalvin Cook, I think the one person who would drastically suffer from it is Devon A-Chain. Now, show me what you got, rookie. Show me what you got. Show me if I don't need to go if I don't need to go sign a 4-time All-Pro. Like, he is, in my mind, the one guy who will suffer the most from the addition of Cook. The other two will contribute. If you don't want me to go get Cook, show me I don't need to go get Cook.
The other thing with Devon A-Chain, he is the one running back on this roster who could convince the Dolphins they don't need to go out Dalvin Cook because they have a guy who's potentially a difference maker because they know what they have in the other guys.
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. So, like, these whole 3 games, this is your season, young man. Like, because you're not going to play when the regular season gets here, I don't think, unless you absolutely earn it.
Yeah, I think he's going to get some. And for me, it wouldn't even floor me if he wound up starting against the Falcons because I don't expect Mostert to play. I don't expect Jeff Wilson to play.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Since he got the finger issue, they know what they have in Ahmed and Gaskin. If Devon A-Chain's starting against the Falcons, I'm not surprised one bit.
I don't know if he's ready for that though.
It's a preseason game. It's preseason game number 1. What's the worst that happens if he's not ready?
I think you want to put him out there with comparable talent. I'm not putting A-Chain out there with Grady Jarrett unless I really want to see.
You actually think Grady Jarrett's going to play for the Falcons?
I don't know.
No, I'm going to go ahead and speak on behalf of the Falcons. I spoke to Arthur Smith a little bit earlier on when was it I spoke to him? I spoke to him on Thursday. I called him at the Falcons hotel and he told me Grady Jarrett's not playing.
All right. I'll take your word for it.
I mean, he's their best defensive player. There's no way in hell he plays in the preseason opener. Come on.
Yeah. It's you're right. I don't know. See, that's the thing. The challenge is every team is doing the preseason differently because they're studying their sports science and they're looking at their situation and what do they want to get the prep for the week. And I don't, but you're right. Game 3, it ideally would be this is we're going to game plan and prep like we're normally going to game plan and prep for an opponent. So it
depends on the team because if you look when the Dolphins played all of their frontline guys against the Eagles last year in the 3rd preseason game, the Eagles played none of them. And it obviously didn't hurt their prep for the regular season because they want to go into the Super Bowl. But the thing is, when we had 4 preseason games per team, not counting the Hall of Fame game, it was pretty well established that the 3rd preseason game was the dress rehearsal, quote unquote. And the 4th game was basically everybody who's either at the bottom of the roster or is not making the team would play. Now with 3 games, now it all changes. There's no like set where you can say that, okay, the 3rd game is a dress rehearsal or the 2nd game depends on which team, how they want to do it. Wide receiver. I'm curious to see if Eric Ezukama is going to play.
He hasn't really been practicing.
Correct. That's my thing. I think I saw him. I believe I saw him in the joint practice against the Falcons. He wasn't very active, and he's one of those who, again, I think his roster spot is
pretty
safe. Is he? Is he totally safe?
I think he's pretty safe.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not keeping Cedric Wilson over Eric Ezukama.
You're eating the $5 million?
I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just like I don't know what I'm doing, to be honest with you. I'm saving $2 million. Like I don't know what I'm doing with Cedric Wilson. I know I'm playing him in the exhibition season. That's what I know I'm doing. You gonna earn these $7 million out here. You gonna do something. Entertain these fans. I don't know, man. Are you playing Robbie Chosen?
I was about to ask you the same question. I was about to ask the exact same question. Again, it's going to come down to numbers. How many wide receivers you need to get through the game? You don't have Braylon Sanders. You don't have Jalen Waddle.
You got to kind of play everybody. You
We're
don't
gonna
have.
assume
You're not
Tyreek's
playing
not playing.
Tyreek.
So
You're not playing Tyreek. You're not playing Waddle. You don't have Braylon Sanders.
So that leaves Robbie Chosen, Braxton Berrios, Eric Ezukama, River Craycraft, David Davis,
Chris Coleman, Freddie Swain. Everybody got to play.
I mean, we got to like 7.
Everybody has to play.
Okay, well then maybe he gets reps and he gets.
Hey, give Mike White Chosen. Give Mike White. Make it a former Jets team. Give Mike White Chosen, Braxton Berrios, and say go to work.
There you go. That way they could. Yeah, there's your starting lineup at wide receiver.
So yeah, I'm curious from a defensive standpoint. You know what I'm curious about?
Go ahead.
Will Brandon Jones and Trill Williams get cleared to play? I don't think so. No,
certainly not Brandon Jones. Again, Trill Williams lost a red jersey in the joint practices. You were watching the defense. I don't know exactly how many reps he got. I don't believe it was a ton.
No, didn't see him. Was looking.
No, I think you remember also.
But Brandon Jones was out there in the red jersey, which correct, was weird.
But he had the red jersey. I'd be shocked if Brandon Jones played. And then Trill Williams, let's remember, hate to bring back bad memories, but it was in the preseason opener last year that he tore.
But this might be a great opportunity for you to dust off those demons, to
sure.
get that out of your head, even if it's just playing on special teams, because he's going to have to be a special teams contributor.
No, but I think if he plays, he's going to play DB also. I don't think there's.
Yeah. I'm just saying. I don't know if he's in that DB rotation. There's a lot of guys back there, but then you're also I'm trying to think. I'm not sure I play Javon Holland.
Oh, I know I'm not playing Javon Holland personally. I'm not playing. I'm not. Again, as we spoke on yesterday's podcast about how thin this team is on defense, or was it Wednesday we talked about it? Yeah. One of the days this week, I'm not exposing any of the frontline starters in the preseason opener, and that's Wilkins, Zach Sealer,
the edges.
Certainly, Phillips Chubb, Jerome Baker, David Long Jr., X.
But what if you need work from David Long Jr.? Because
preseason opener, I mean, it's not. Come on.
Okay, that's true. That's fair. So, are we going to get a steady diet of Channing Tindall?
Oh yeah, we're going to get a steady of him, of Mike Rose, of Aubrey Miller Jr., of maybe Van Ginkel inside linebacker as well. Duke Riley, I would expect to see in there.
Cameron Good, Mitchell Agude.
Absolutely, I know you want to see Mitchell Agude get a sack.
I do want to see Mitchell Agude. I am intrigued. Are you playing Cater? Can you chance it?
No, because
so if you're not playing Cater, who's your nickel?
Could be. I don't know. Let me look at do you have the depth chart handy? I don't see. We need to see who's on the depth chart behind them.
If you don't play Cater, I'm not sure you have.
Oh no, they don't have nickel on the depth chart now. I remember. So maybe Justin Bethel gets some nickel snaps. Could it be? Okay. Why am I not remembering at the top of my head who can play the nickel?
There isn't a guy playing. I know Justin Bethel has played it. I'm looking at the roster now. Maybe that's where Tino Ellis works. I never pay attention to Tino Ellis because. Oh,
and maybe Perry Nickerson is a nickel guy.
Oh yeah. Newcomer. Okay, that's a new guy. Yeah. I'm Yeah, I hear. Yeah, of course, Xavier's not playing. I don't think Xavier plays in the whole preseason.
Agreed.
So it's going to be interesting to see who plays. Now, who is this important to? It's important to all of the tight ends. You got to get something.
Except for Durham Smythe.
Even that, I would like to see some tight end plays called to see what's capable of Durham Smythe. Like, let's not act like he's just owns this starting spot because he's so sensational. Can you be a contributing offensive player?
No, he owns the starting spot because there's really nobody else on this roster who they've acquired who can challenge him for the starting spot, and they know what they have in Durham Smythe. And I like him as a guy, I like him as a player, but he's got his limitations as a player, as a tight end. We know what they are, and it's.
Do we know what he's capable of, though?
I think we've seen what he's capable of. He's capable of 35 catches, 8 yards, 9 yards per reception at the most. He's never been a red zone guy. This is where maybe Eric Saubert gets a shot, Tyler Kraft gets a shot. Dare I say it, Julian Hill, the rookie free agent, gets a shot. Elijah Higgins, the 6th-round pick, converted wide receiver. Maybe he gets a heavy dose, and this is where the Dolphins really want to see him in a game situation. Let's see if what we saw in him at Stanford and our projection of him being this good receiving tight end at the NFL level can materialize. Deep side.
Yeah. None of that excites me nor interests me.
There's nobody exciting on the roster at tight end.
I'm hoping somebody has a Tanner Conner come out. At this point last year, we didn't know Tanner Conner was Tanner Conner.
Then it would have to be Julian. Oh, it would have to be Julian Hill or Elijah Higgins, because we know what Tyler Kraft and Eric Saubert are. They've been in the NFL long enough. They're not going to become Rob Gronkowski or Jimmy Graham overnight. No offense.
Yeah, Tanner Conner wasn't Rob Gronkowski or Jimmy Graham. But
bad example, perhaps.
He was like, oh, okay, all right.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen a single thing that has impressed me of any of the tight ends all camp. So
you didn't like that catch Julian Hill made after a pass was batted up at the line of scrimmage, went way up into the air, and he jumped over like 3 different guys around him and caught the ball. Or well, you were watching the defense probably when that happened, right?
Yeah, I don't
missed that brilliant play.
It was a joint. It was a Falcons against.
Yeah, in the joint practice, it was like a red zone drill. And I can't remember who the quarterback was. Might have been Mike White. Threw the ball, batted the line of scrimmage, went way up in the air, and Julian
came down with it. Okay,
in traffic. So that was good. But I'm with you. There hasn't been anything overly exciting with the tight ends.
And you know who else I'm interested in seeing outside of Mitchell Agude is Brandon Peely, who flashed in practice this week against the Falcons.
Very much.
And Randy Charlton, who I saw him make some plays, and Jalen Twyman, who that gap penetrator. These guys are trying to make the team. They're trying to at least make a practice squad look, and they got to have strong games in situations like this. They got to put some solid film together. Now,
I was watching the offense, as has been well documented, because we've only said it 85 times. While you were watching the defense in the joint practices, I don't recall hearing anybody say anything about Jalen Twyman against the Falcons. Was he?
No, they did not.
Okay.
No, he had that very impressive Saturday scrimmage and then kind of disappeared on us.
Okay, we don't like that. And he's not in a position to afford being able to disappear for a few practices. You know what position we have not mentioned, which actually might be the most significant of all in this preseason opener, that cornerback spot opposite X. How much? Wow, really? You're shrugging. You're not curious to see Cam Smith, Noah Benogany, Eli Apple.
I am. I mean, okay. They're going to both play. They're going to both
guys. Be on 3 guys. That's 3 guys. All 3 of them I would expect to see in the lineup.
Absolutely. I don't know if it's going to be decided tonight. I mean, but I think I
agree, but
yeah. I mean, let me preface this by saying I watched the Falcons all week.
Yeah.
And they're not challenging the cornerbacks.
Maybe they'll make an exception because it's a game they'll actually throw down the field.
Okay, sure. I would be shocked if they do that. I watched Desmond Ridder. It wasn't impressive to me. I don't think this is going to be a situation where they're game planning for him if he even plays. Taylor Heineke, he was a little bit more aggressive. So I would love to see all those guys go against Taylor Heineke. He's still out there trying to establish himself as an NFL starter. So
well, tell me you're not looking forward to seeing in preseason games if the Noah Benogany, the new Noah Benogany we've been seeing in practice
disappears.
Be nice. Remember,
I'm just
be nice.
No, I'm way more confident in what I've seen from Noah.
Okay, I'm curious. I want to see if that translates into games to where even if he doesn't start, the Dolphins have a dependable guy who's not going to get the defense killed if he happens to be forced into action. That would be the first step in the progression.
I would have went into training camp saying Noah might not be on this roster. He's definitely on this roster. And I'm encouraged by what I've seen. And I think I'm investing in him over Eli Apple if it's close. And I give him the starting nod right now, unless he loses it, over Cam Smith, because I want to bring the rookies in slowly. I've always believed in that, bringing the rookies in slowly. Don't throw them into the deep end of the pool, have them struggle like Noah did, and then you have to dig them out of a deep hole. And that's really what happened to Noah his rookie season. If you remember, first couple of games, got his face kicked in by the Bills, and then the next week, Russell Wilson basically wins the game attacking him. Yeah, that's hard to get out of. That's hard of a mental hole to get out of. And it's taken him 3 years to get out of it. So I'm giving Noah every opportunity to prove that he is a first-round talent.
Okay, but here's the other thing too, though. As you well know, not every cornerback is made the same way.
Yep.
I think, unless I'm mistaken, that Cam Smith, the book on him coming out of South Carolina, is not lacking in confidence. So maybe
that's cute.
You throw him into the fire after he shows you in the preseason that he's ready to handle the challenge, and there are some setbacks that he can respond properly. And we saw that in practice. He had one shaky practice, and he came back the next day and he was very good.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, the question with him is going to be, okay, is he going to be good enough or so good that basically he's going to leave Vic Fangio no choice, but that's got to be my starting cornerback.
Yeah, you earn it. You don't get gifted it.
Correct.
And that's what I'm talking about. I didn't say Noah has earned it, but Noah has been put through the fire before. He's been hardened by it. I don't want to give Cam Smith something and then have him go through the fire and then get burned. And then I got to work on building up his psyche for the next 3 years. Like, let's calm it down a little bit. Let's, that's my mindset, because I've seen it happen to too many rookies. Not everybody just comes out and is just guns blazing. And we've been through a lot of cornerbacks. There's before we got to Xavier Howard, there was a lot of Tony Lippett's and Cordrea Tankersleys and
Names you're throwing out there.
Bobby McCain's and
Bobby McCain was a good player. Don't know.
Bobby McCain was indeed a good player.
Okay. And he was a fifth pick, so was Tony Lippett.
Yeah, I'm not disrespecting him. I'm just saying, like if you believe Cam Smith is that next dude, let's treat him, let's do him right. Let's not throw him into the deep end.
If there are any concerns that he's not ready for it.
Correct.
Because by the same token, if the guy
go out there and show me in the second half. Play the whole second half. Go out there and show me you're ready.
No, and the other thing too is you mentioned Eli Apple in passing, kind of, I don't want to say semi-disrespectfully, but yeah, kind of. Dude's very solid.
He's a solid.
Yeah.
I would like better than solid, but he's solid. No disrespect.
Sure.
It's okay. And I mean, there's a lot of positions that they're okay at. So I'm not throwing shade at him. They're okay at linebacker. It's inside linebacker, not outside linebacker. They're okay at backup outside linebacker. But I don't really need to see Eli Apple. I know what he brings to the table.
Fair. Here's one. Here's one for you. You're going to like this one. You're going to love this one. Prediction and preference. Does Emmanuel Ogbah play, and if so, how much?
Yes, a lot.
Okay.
I'm fully in support of him playing a lot. He's got to show me that you can play that position. I don't see it. Show me that you can be an outside linebacker, or show me that you can put your hand in the ground and go hunt the quarterback from this 2-5-4 scheme that you're running.
Yeah, or 2-4-5, yeah.
Yeah, 2-4.
2-4-5, yeah. And this is a part where I also should mention that what we're going to see from the Dolphin defense in this particular game, probably not going to look anything like we're going to see September 10th against the Chargers, because Vic Fangio ain't rolling out all his wrinkles and his little for the Chargers to scout.
I think it's going to be a lot of base stuff. Another thing that I do want Dolphin fans to keep your eye on, and this was very troubling for me because I usually don't watch special teams periods because they bore me to death. But I did watch the special teams period with the Falcons, and they kicked Miami's tail every period. And I was like, whoa, like this is bad. Like this is problematic. Like Falcons got big returns. Falcons contained Miami's returns. Falcons penetrated punt coverage. Miami couldn't penetrate Falcons punt coverage. Like, you got to get better at that unit. And there's a lot of jobs that can be had and made in this NFL. Garrett Nelson, a guy we have never named on this podcast ever in my life. If you become a special teams headbuster, you might make the 53.
I'm surprised you even know his name.
I actually know his number too, 56, because he kept, in OTAs, he kept like putting his hand up, like, I did it.
He did. Yes, he did. He was very quick to do that.
I was a little stunned, shocked, surprised how bad they looked. And
they're bad last year too, so this is an area that needs to improve, like big time.
Yeah, I'm at the point where I'm like, oh, this is a problem. I gotta now watch special teams all practices.
Yeah, I'm also curious to see if they're going to take advantage. We're going to see the new rule with the fair catch on the kickoff, resulting in teams getting the ball to 25. If we're going to see that a lot tonight, and to see what kind of impact it might have in the kicking game. So we're just about out of time. Score prediction. Come on, we have to do a prediction. No, I'm kidding. Don't do predictions for preseason yet. Joking. I hate doing them for regular season games. So imagine.
I do have one prediction. Skylar Thompson's going to pull off a fourth quarter victory.
Okay, you heard it here first. Subscribe, download, like, share, whatever you need to do. We will
tell a friend.
Tell a friend. We will recap this game.
And if you're interested in advertising, comment below.
There you go. Thanks, Omar.
All right.